So inside of Grow A Garden, before the next summer harvest event comes out, since this has finally been announced and pushed as a final, it's going to be called the Mega Harvest. This is everything you need to do in order to prepare both for this event on the money side and just in general information that has both been leaked and what you need to know about this event in order to prepare for it as optimally as possible. So starting off inside of the new update, one thing we have been hinted at towards is a plant that is going to far exceed the value of the candy blossom. Now, not only is this plant going to be upfront better than candy blossom in more ways than the candy blossom or any other plant can be. And what this means is, so usually obviously there's plenty of other plants that have a higher sell value than the candy blossom up front, but at some sort of a cost. So if you think of considering a plant of higher rarity or something, for example, like the honeysuckle. So if you want to use like a website, you can check like mine, you can check the values of plants. So say it's the honeysuckle, right? The honeysuckle has a base sale value of the same as the candy blossom, but only one plant can be grown per, plant. So the difference is that the candy blossom can yield multiple plants and it can yield a lot of them. So that's one of the major differences from the candy blossom to any other plant. And that's what makes it just downright the best in the game. So alongside this, we also have a lot of information in regards to, mechanics. So most likely the summer harvest is going to continue to stay as a core mechanic in the game. So you do want to, obviously, if you want to make space for, there are going to be, from what I have been seeing in leaks, a ton of new plants. Now, all of these plants are very high rarity. We're also going to have most likely this new plant that is going to far exceed the candy blossom inside of the shop. And this is going to be a big boy plant. Now, there's also going to be a plant that's going to be like the Ember Lily, or like the father of the Ember Lily, almost like very overpowered. And what we can expect is this thing is most likely going to be expensive. So you want to both have enough resources to grind for this, so money, which I'll go over in a second, but additionally you also want to have the time and know when this is in stock, because this is, I'm pretty sure, going to be a stock roulette based plant. So if you want to, you can join my Discord server. We have inside of the Discord server, obviously, a stock system. So the way a stock system works is it'll notify you on what's in stock, both plants and gear. It'll notify you if there's a plant in stock. It'll notify if there's gear in stock, depending on what you choose to be notified by. So if I wanted to be notified by anytime a sugar apple comes in stock, I would choose this, and then I would be notified then. Then we also have an egg stock, which is the same applied to that. And then additionally also weather events. So very helpful. You should check out the Discord server. That'll be in the description. And if you don't have Discord, you can use my website, which will be the same one as linked in the description already. And that has a built-in livestock tracker, so you can use that. So most likely with this update, though, one thing we can note is there have been a few patches and buffs with things. So if you want to use the reclaimer tool to help clean up some of your garden, they have recently buffed where you get 3 reclaimers as shown instead of just 1. So you can use this to clean up your garden faster and decide if it's even worth keeping a plant. So you could delete some if they're not even of value. So like if I don't want this dragon fruit, I could delete it. But obviously with the understanding, I have 40 of these seeds and they're also never coming back, obviously, as of right now. So we should expect this is practically like a limited plant now. So things like that, you should try to clean your garden up a bit, since a lot of the new plants coming are going to be very big and have like high plant hitboxes. Additionally, have obviously, once again, high sell value and base rarity. So when it comes down to the quality of your garden, if you want to hyper focus on the summer event, once again, there are adding more stuff to the track. So grinding the summer harvest event is a recommendation as always, but you should try to increase the quality of the plants in your garden rather than, just absurd volume. So like the tomato strategy works, and from testing it in the early beta testing server, it does still work very well. But with a lot of the newer plants, it isn't the best and most optimal, considering it takes up a lot of space. You can easily get the max amount of placements in your garden if you're overdoing it with tomatoes, and it then allows you to get both like all of the track. So obviously if you have all these tomatoes, eventually you can only place 800 plants in your garden. If you use too many tomatoes so that you can efficiently grind it, if you use other methods and all that, you can't really, full-fledged grind it, and you most likely will like run out of space. But still, though, it is of consideration if you should delete plants or not. Now, alongside this, for the money side, what you should hyper focus on right now is there are going to be admin weather events as always, and you should try to clear out as many plants as you can and use your heavy hitters if you're grinding money on specific plants. So like this one right here has a decent amount of things on it, and so I'm grinding mutations on this. So what I could do is leave this one in the open, right, and try to clear out more plants so that when these admin events come in, there's a better chance for these hyper-focused plants to get these mutations, and furthermore, things like that. The next thing to note is we will have a bunch of new craftable items, so you do want to try to prepare for this because the honey system is going to stay in, as always, and since it's more of a prolonged, extended variant, and it is going to be necessary when it comes to grinding these plants. So, there's going to be craftable plants and new craftable items, both which requiring honey. So what you can do is try to prepare for this by getting as many bee plants or pets as you can. I put all of my bees on an alt account. I have like 30. Also, if you're wanting to win, this summer pack is going to be gone. So if you do want to win the giveaway, I'm giving away the exotic summer seed pack to the winner of the giveaway. So just comment your username on this video to enter into the giveaway. Once again, giving away, I think I should probably give away, 10 or 20, however much it wants, to the winner of the giveaway. And I'll probably also give away that chunky boy over there on the update. But once again, there's going to be a lot of new stuff, but the active only way you can get bees is going to be via this thing right here. So in the update, there's going to be easier ways to obtain bees, and you can also trade for them, like in my trading server and my Discord server. But once again, this is actively the only way you can obtain bees. So try to get as many bees as possible, because the pollination event is going to be more of a helpful mechanic, but it's no longer naturally obtainable. So you do want to have a decent amount of progress when it comes to pre-firing bees and all that, because the honey is going to be necessary for a lot of crafting on, once again, necessary high value plants. So you do want to craft a lot of these new plants, but you don't want to miss out on them because they are good, and a lot of new very helpful gear that will require this. Additionally, you want to take advantage of, if you can, macroing, since macros will help you grind, AFK if you don't want to grind and stay in game for this from the gear shop. So there's going to be new gear, and there's also going to be a bunch of new seeds. So for the most part, at least, you can expect a new gear item to be integrated into this. This is one Jandel said a lot of people were wanting, so they're going to integrate that soon. So hopefully, we can have that in. But alongside this, what we can also, in generally expect is going to be this gear and a bunch of new seeds in the seed shop specifically. So there's going to be new buyable seeds, and there's also going to be new gear. So what we can at least hope for is both these two items. So if you do want to, you can use a basic macro like tiny tasks, and you can record a basic function like teleporting over to the seeds, buying the seeds, and then teleporting over to the gear. But once again, we are about to launch our official macro that'll instantly automate all of this for you, so you won't have to, worry or be annoyed when it comes to grinding specific things, because you'll be able to, just click on what things you want to do, and it'll automatically run all this for you. There will be genuinely no need for, setup or pre-hand stuff like with tiny tasks. If you record something, you have to, realign your camera and make everything exact to the previous recording. But with this, it's literally just super simple. It's also going to be free. Once again, more information in regards to that is in my Discord server if you want to check that out. But you should look forward to that, because I am. And once again, it'll be free and eventually work on Mac. So if you are on a Mac and you can't, use tiny tasks or auto clickers and stuff like that, those will be usable on our software and our macro on Mac. I kind of messed up on my wording on that one. But another thing to note is we are going to have a bunch of nerfs and buffs, mainly around the Mooncat. So this was very blatant whenever it came to the Mooncat is super overpowered, like straight up. The Mooncat is very helpful, very overpowered, very, very good. And one thing to note about the Mooncat is the only issue is that since it is very, very overpowered, as it is, and the prismatic rarity is becoming more easily obtainable with strategies, and with the new update, it's going to be even easier to obtain prismatic rarity. As Jandel said, they're going to make it easier. The Mooncat's most likely going to get buffed, so you do want to try to take advantage of this as much as you can. And the best way possible is going to be used both at the sprinkler method and with the cat. And pretty much what you're going to do is when the cat, so if you're trying to grow a plant, so what this does is when a plant is growing, it will basically make that plant twice as big if it's high enough of a level. So by using the Mooncat and the sprinkler method, the plant's base size will be dramatically increased. So whenever it goes and sleeps by the targeted plant, you can also use a trowel to move it into the plant or the cat zone, since it'll go to sleep and have this circular effect affecting all plants in that area. Then what you want to do is wait for the cat to do that, and then place down the sprinklers, claim the plants that it's affecting, and then that'll boom immediately set the value of those plants. It's going to be huge and tremendous. And then you want to leave the game and let the sprinkler method do its thing, and let the cat ability have its passive effect. And then after obviously returning a few hours later, you're going to have a crazy amount of huge sized plants. And this is going to be dramatically increasing both base size and most likely value. If you don't have pets like the dragonfly, you can get those golden naturally from growth. I do have a dragonfly, and I might give it away. So if you want to check the pinned comment, I might be giving away my dragonfly in a giveaway later in the video or later down the road. But once again, that is one of the best ways you could gain really big plants, especially when it comes to increasing the base size and value of a plant. Furthermore, with all the admin weather events and events they're going to be running, this will help to get potentially those admin weather events on these plants, furthermore increasing their value dramatically. Then with all this being said, if you are relatively set in the high hundreds of billions, you should be easily set. If you're in barely roughly the billions, you do need to try to take advantage of all the money strategies and glitches, since we do know current glitches around like mobile plant collection is really overpowered if you didn't know that, and then other furthermore things like that. But regardless, it's still very, very overpowered. And